Okay, this video we're just going to go over the front side of 9.3, which is just vertical translations, and I want to do a quick review of just graphing the most basic parabola, y equals x squared. Now what we really pounded home in the last section was this whole negative b over 2a, which gives you the x value for the vertex. Well, you can see I have the values written. Since it's just 1x squared, a is 1, but there's no x, so then b is 0. That makes our work a lot easier, and if I plug this in, well, the negative or negative 0 over 2, well, 0 divided by anything is 0. So for the vertex, the x value is 0. So if there's no x, then the x value for the vertex is always 0. And then if you just plug 0 in, well, 0 squared, that equals 0. So that's the y value. So this vertex is at the origin. Okay, and then I want to get just one point to the left and one point to the right. So I'm going to plug in x equals 1 and x equals negative 1 to the equation. So I'll make a little xy chart. So I'll put in 1 and negative 1. So if I put 1 in for x, I have 1 squared, which equals 1. Okay, and I realize I should have these in parentheses. And negative 1 in parentheses squared. Well, negative 1 times negative 1 still gives me 1. So this ordered pair is 1, 1. And this ordered pair is negative 1, 1. So 1, 1's right here. Negative 1, 1's right here. Connect it. And there's our basic parabola. There's our basic shape. Okay, now let's move down to number 1. And let's do this. Y equals x squared plus 2. Okay, if I do y equals x squared plus 2, now again, there is no x value. So it's like saying b is 0, so this is 0. The x value is 0. Now if I plug this in, you're going to have 0 squared plus 2. Well, 0 is just 0, and plus 2 you get 2. So that's the vertex at 0, 2. Now if you make the little xy chart, again, I'm going to plug in a point to the right and a point to the left, so just like the review, I want to plug in 1 and negative 1. Now if I plug in 1, I'm just going to erase this. If I plug in 1, you get 1 squared plus 2. Well, 1 squared is 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. So if I get 1, 3, I'm right up here. And I know negative 1 is going to be the mirror point of 1, 3. That's also going to give me 3. So at negative 1, 3, there we are. Now, basically, it's the same exact graph as the review. If I actually go up, it's the same exact graph. It's in different color. This, I just move up 2 units. If you move it up 2 units, you get this graph right here. So we're just shifting it up. Now, if I did number 2, this minus 3 means I'm going to take this original parabola, I'm going to shift it down 3 units. So my vertex for this, right, I have no x value, so it's 0, but the y value is going to be negative 3. Because if I did 0 squared minus 3, well, 0 minus 3 gives me negative 3. So I have 0, negative 3. And then, again, same thing. If I make a little xy chart, I want 2 other points. I plug in 1 and negative 1. If I plug in 1, well, it becomes 1 squared minus 3. 1 squared is 1. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. So we get 1, negative 2, which is this right here. I'm going to get the same value when you plug in negative 1. So negative 1, negative 2 is right here, and it goes up. Now the shape doesn't change at all, but I just move it down 3 units. Okay. All right, let's just do 3 and 4. Now 3 and 4, though, also the little difference here is that now for these, there's a negative in front. So if there's a negative in front of the x squared, this is what our shape's going to look like. It's going to go down. Same thing, this negative in front means the parabola is going to flip and it's going to go down. Now let's do this. The vertex for this, since it's minus 1, it's going to be at 0, negative 1. So it's going to be right here. Now if I make a little xy chart, again, I'm going to plug in 1 and negative 1. So if I plug in 1, I'm going to have right? I put parentheses around the x. I'm going to have negative and then 1 squared minus 1. Well, 1 squared is 1, but you have this negative. So that's like saying you're doing negative 1 minus 1, which is negative 2. So 1, negative 2, and that proves that now the parabola goes down. So if I plug in negative 1, I'm going to get the same y value of negative 2. So negative 1, negative 2 is right here. So it goes down. Okay? Now number 4, I should look at this right away. That's a positive 2. So that means instead of the vertex being at the origin, I'm going to shift it up 2 units. It's going to be at 0, 2. So you go up at 0, 2. There's the vertex. Now it should go down. It should like this. It should look like that. So I'm going to make a little XY chart. Again, plug in 1 and negative 1. If I plug in 1 for this, you're going to have 2 minus. Put 1 in parentheses and then 1 squared. 1 squared is 1. 2 minus 1 equals 1. So that's what we get. We get 1, 1, which is right here. So there it proves it goes down. And negative 1, just like the previous 3, you're going to get the same y value because it's going to be a mirror point. So negative 1, 1, it's right here. Connect it, you have your graph. Okay, so to kind of just sum it up, there's no x terms for any of these. So if there's no x term, if your equation is y equals, if your equation is y equals x squared, we'll say plus k, then your vertex is at 0k. You just shifted up k units from the origin. If your equation is y equals x squared, but then you subtract the number, we'll say that number is k, well then your vertex, you shift down k units, so it's at 0, negative k. Alright, so these are all ones where the vertex is actually the y-intercept. We just move it up and down. Then you still want to get the 2 other points by plugging in this x value, 1 and negative 1, and it'll basically prove if the parabola goes up or down.